When I was just a chubby little 5-year-old back in 2002, I remember seeing this weird commercial with a kid riding in this rickety van that had a big set of balls while playing on his Game Boy. Then his mom slams on the brakes and a damn game just bounces into existence. I see that it's a Dragon Ball game, and being a lifelong, even though a very short lifelong fan of Dragon Ball Z, I was so hyped. And when the kid got out of the car, holy fuck, I wanted to go Super Saiyan, because look at his hair! So I go to my mom and I'm like, Mommy, I fucking want this game. Not really, because I was 5 and would have gotten spanked. Thankfully, she agreed to get me the game for my birthday. Here's where the problem lies. This commercial was airing when the game came out, in May. My fucking birthday wasn't until turkey time in November. That and I didn't even have my own Game Boy yet. But guess what? My brothers had gotten their own that last Christmas. If I could, I would show you the picture. But in it, both my brothers were holding their Game Boys, while I'm sitting there with this weird Buzz Lightyear toy with a shit-eating grin on my face. Anyway, if I was to get Legacy of Goku for my birthday that year, that means that I would have to share a Game Boy with one of my brothers. And they were assholes. So that was a big NO. Fast forward to my birthday. We're at my party at my cousin's house. My brothers have their Game Boys, my cousin even has his Game Boy, and I was pissed. Suddenly, my mom walks up and is like, "Hey, happy birthday," and hands me a fucking brand new Game Boy with Legacy of Goku. This felt like the greatest day of my life. I even felt a little special because my Game Boy was different than my brother's shitty purple ones. I had the awesome, bland-ass clear one, and immediately began one of my first forays into the RPG genre. And it was hard. Hard as shit. I'm talking dead in the first 15 minutes hard. I gave up on the game and put it down for a few days, defeated. Thankfully, my oldest brother knew a guy that also had the game, who told him about an invincibility cheat that you can put in during the intro movie. My hope in humanity had been restored, and I was ready to face whatever came Goku's way, be it a shitty blue dog or a weird triceratops thing. I tanked through the game in a few short hours, punching the shit out of enemies, solving weird bubblegum puzzles, and finally, going Super Saiyan and beating Frieza's ass cheeks off. And I loved every second of it. I ended up playing through the game several times over the years, and I always enjoyed it. Once I got a little older and my taste in games had refined, I became curious. I wanted to know what other people thought of the game. To my surprise, it's shit. Well, not to me, but yeah. This seemed ridiculous. One of the most cherished games of my childhood was considered to be god-awful to just about everybody else. By now I'm okay with this opinion, but I haven't played the Legacy of Goku in a very long time. Is it really that bad? Am I just unable to remove the nostalgia goggles? Looks like we're about to find out. Dragon Ball Z: The Legacy of Goku covers from about the beginning of the Saiyan saga through the Frieza saga from the show. Just like in the show, you start off on Master Roshi's island, letting all of Goku's friends meet his son, Gohan. And just like in the show, Master Roshi tasks you with finding magazines. Porn magazines. Just lying around on the beach. Okay, in case you didn't know, this game is only loosely based on the actual Dragon Ball Z anime, with the main plot points being the mostly accurate parts. After Goku gathers all of the precious porn, some long-haired asshole shows up, tells Goku that he is his brother, calls him an alien carrot, steals Goku's son, and leaves. Only for one of Goku's arch-enemies, Piccolo, to appear and say that he wants to help out. At this point, it's time to ram a foot in some Raditz ass. Oh. We're gonna stop at home and kill off all the wildlife? Okay. Once we make it through the woods, save a little kid's boat and escort a cat home, we're able to walk through some weird fucking dragon mouth thing in some dude's house and end up in a field.
What?
Alright, finally time to ass blast Raditz. We fight Raditz, both Raditz and Goku die, and now Goku's in the afterlife. We are told that we need to go train with King Kai, but the only way to reach King Kai is by following the longest fuck snake way, and that two Saiyans, the alien race that Goku is also part of, are headed to Earth. Of course, Goku takes his sweet ass time walking Snake Way and is hit by a car, knocking him off and sending him down below to the home of infinite losers, silly. Well, in order to get out of hell, I mean HFIL, Goku needs to take a few spirits to this random guy and then play tag with a demon to gain access to a tree, and once Goku catches them, they will open up a portal leading all the way back to the start of Snake Way. Before we continue, funny short story here. You see this blood fountain right here? The one that Goku calls a juice fountain? Yeah, the weekend after finishing the game, I went to church, and during a little children's church thing or whatever it is, I decided that I would enlighten the group about the blood fountain and heck that I saw in my video game. Wonderful. I imagine everybody already thought that I was a dumb fuck, but now they think I'm a possessed dumb fuck or some shit. Anyway, back on Snake Way, Goku finally makes his way to King Kai's little planet. Then training begins. And by training, I mean punching a gorilla in the balls and crushing a bug boy. For our rigorous efforts, King Kai rewards Goku by teaching him the spirit Kamehameha. And Goku is revived by the power of the Dragon Ball shortly after. Goku arrives on Kami's lookout for some strange reason, and Kami himself tells Goku that the Saiyans are already there and have kicked the shit out of all of his friends. Nice. Alright, so time to get down to business. Goku just trained his ass off and is ready to settle this. Oh, Goku has to save some lost boy and stop a bank robbery, just like in the TV show? All before walking through a military checkpoint for some odd reason before finally making it to the battlefield? Only to find out that just about all of his friends are fucking dead. I really wonder why. The battle with the Saiyans begins with Goku taking Nappa out first and then fights Vegeta. After fighting for a while, Vegeta resorts to transforming into a giant ape. This is a power that all the Saiyans have from birth and are able to transform after seeing a full moon or an artificial one, only if they still have their tails, that is. Gorilla Vegeta makes quick work of Goku and immediately has his tail cut off by Yajirobe, who, by the way, never even fucking appears in the game, and then he reverts back to his regular self. Meanwhile, Goku's son Gohan, who was born with a tail due to being half Saiyan, also transforms into a great ape, flattens Vegeta, and just magically becomes small again. What the fuck? Krillin wants to kill Vegeta while he's down, but Goku isn't having that shit and lets him go, only for Krillin to be like, hey, so, meet us on Planet Namek. No fucking particular reason, yeah, just come there. Allow me to fill in the blanks. I'll try to be quick here. Piccolo is from Namek. Kami is from Namek. The two of them, well, Piccolo's dad, used to be the same person but split into both a bad guy and a good guy. With Kami being the guardian of the Earth, the Dragon Balls are tied to his life force. If he dies, then the balls stop working. Since Piccolo died while fighting the Saiyans, and since he is half of Kami, Kami also died and the Dragon Balls are now useless. And the gang has to travel to Kami's home planet of Namek to use their Dragon Balls. Anyway, Goku travels to Namek only to find it in a state of disarray.
No shit.
It turns out that this galactic warlord Frieza is also hunting for the Dragon Balls and has resorted to killing all of the Namekians in his quest to gather them. Well, fuck, Goku has to put a stop to that shit fast. Oh, he has to help this pickle plant some trees? And then enter this weird-ass temple and pick up bubblegum? Are you sensing a common theme here? After dealing with these necessary issues, Goku arrives to the next battlefield where Gohan, Krillin, and a now somewhat friendly Vegeta are waiting for him. Yeah, Vegeta's back, but he's a good guy now, yay! Not really, but he doesn't want Frieza to hoard all the Dragon Balls, so teamwork! Goku fights and defeats Frieza's most elite group of warriors, the Ginyu Force. The Ginyu Squad? And makes his way to Frieza's ship that is just so conveniently nearby. Having been worn out from the battle with the Ginyu Force...
That's not how it goes.
But in the show...
Fuck the show.
Because Krillin said so, Goku uses a rejuvenation chamber aboard the ship to restore all of his energy, with this acting as the typical point of no return in RPGs. Goku emerges, and this time it's straight to the fight with Frieza. No bullshit, no bank robbers, no saving cats. After a long battle against Frieza that causes him to transform several times, Frieza finally enters his final form and for shits and giggles, kills Krillin before Goku's eyes. Goku goes apeshit, transforms into a Super Saiyan, and the final battle begins. Goku finally defeats Frieza, but their battle has brought Namek to the point of destruction and the planet explodes, seeming to take Goku with it. Meanwhile, everyone back on Earth uses the Dragon Balls to wish all of those who died on Namek back to life. On the ending screen, we see everyone back on Earth. smiling. What a wonderful thing to see right after Goku apparently died in a fiery explosion. Another thing that the game missed was the reason that everyone was smiling there anyway. Turns out that when wishing everyone back to life, the dragon who grants the wishes told them that he couldn't bring Goku back to life because he had never died. Roll credits. Yay, happy ending! God, this game is a fucking mess. The plot of Dragon Ball isn't that strong to begin with, but dear God does this game fall flat on its face. Inconsistencies aside, there is zero character development, no likable characters in general, and the story in general just feels meaningless. It doesn't help that none of the locations that we visit have some sort of unique story to them. Before I even begin talking about the other aspects, based off the plot alone, this game seems to be more meant for people that are already Dragon Ball fans. I'm being as nice as I can be about this, but maybe the developers put their own twist on the game to attempt to make things fresh? Not saying they did a good job, but it definitely stands out as different. Dragon Ball without the guts, or any organs for that matter, not even a skeleton, really. It's just there.
Too complicated for us humans to understand.
You would think that the side quest, if you can even call them that, had a chance at making things a bit less dull, but all they ever consist of is get this, bring this, with some of the shittiest, most plain premises. Seriously, there are parts where you need to retrieve this kid's toy boat from an island, and another where you need to pick fucking flowers for some kid to give to his crush. The most engaging thing in the entire damn game was stopping the bank robbery, then that only lasted for about 3 minutes. And even though it was confusing as fuck with these stupid ass little teleporters that made absolutely zero sense, the hunt for the bubblegum chunks in the Namekian temple proved to be the most unique part of the game. So I'll applaud that. Even if the plot in this game is worse than if a 5th grader wrote their own stories that are based on a game or a movie, the music almost makes up for it in my opinion. While it sounds absolutely nothing like the Dragon Ball music we're used to, I still really appreciate this game's soundtrack. The very first track that comes to mind is the one that plays when you first get to Namek. It actually makes you feel like there is no hope for the Namekians. These people are essentially going through the apocalypse. Their homes are destroyed, their friends are dead, they have no trees, and you really feel for them with this music. This is one of the few times that the game made me feel like it had a legitimate connection to it. And halfway through that level, we get a total change of atmosphere with this fun little piece. But I don't think that this change was too unnecessary, as it fit very well when exploring the outside of the temple. It could have been cued to play when you're actually inside the temple, but it's okay. Another song that actually sets the mood is when you're on the second trip down Snake Way. I don't know what it was, but just hearing that music made me feel like I was actually in a rush to finally go and train with King Kai. I really felt like everyone back on Earth needed me. Oh, the boss themes. Even though Vegeta and the final form of Frieza share the same theme, that was one of the songs that is so badass. I used to just pause the game when I was younger and listen to it until my Game Boy died. But my favorite of the boss battle songs and my favorite track in the entire game has to be the one that plays when you battle the Ginyu Force. Too bad that the fight itself didn't do any justice to the awesome music because this game plays like shit. And not just any shit. I mean that if someone were to take a dump on top of your Game Boy and then like pack the crap down at all your buttons and then set it on fire, that's how bad the game controls. It's played from a top-down perspective and feels like your standard action RPG, except it's fucking dated. You can only move in 4 directions, up, down, left, and right. There's only walking slower than a snail taking a shit in one big or small square. In The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past, you can walk in 8 directions, in a more circular pattern, while running. This allowed for much smoother control and an obviously better range of motion. A Link to the Past came out for the Super Nintendo in 1991, and a game for the Game Boy Advance during the same year that The Legacy of Goku came out. There's not really much of an excuse for this. Things are made a little bit better when you obtain speed upgrades as you progress through the game, but that still doesn't change the fact that the game controls like ass. And don't even get me started on the flight mechanic. Oh yeah, you're able to fly just like in the TV show for about 3 seconds. Dead serious. Once your flight meter, whatever that is, runs out, you need to find these little feather ball things to replenish it. It'll take you more time to press the A button when next to a feather than it would to completely drain your flight meter. Okay, probably not, but if flying wasn't a necessity during some parts of the game, I wouldn't even bother, since the only time it's useful is when you're getting your ass kicked and need a quick getaway. Perhaps the combat makes up for this.
Nope.
Imagine if Goku had baby arms, but they didn't grow back to normal size, and he punched ridiculously slow. Add in some pretty shit energy attacks and a Kamehameha wave that has absolutely no range, and there you have your basic offense in the game. The only useful attack in the game is the solar flare, but it's only because it will stop your enemy in their tracks and allow you to wail on them if you manage to get close enough. Although if you charge your key attacks until your energy meter drains, the attack will be stronger, or if you did a solar flare, then the duration of the stun will last longer, but not by a whole lot. Even though it constantly charges when depleted, you're still limited to the amount of key attacks that you can do at one time, which means you will most definitely be forced to take a gamble and need to get your baby hands dirty. Being this close to the enemy pretty much guarantees that you will get hit, and until you get a high enough level, enemies hit like trucks. To make matters worse, you don't have health for shit. I mean, look at this. Beginning of the game and you're dead in 3 hits. Not to mention that most of the enemies in this game are faster than you. A majority of the battles, and especially boss fights, are going to be spent spamming solar flare, getting a few punches and sometimes a Kamehameha wave in, running away to let your ki recharge, constantly using restorative items, and a lot of this. Followed by the strangest falling animation. Speaking of how weird this looks, this game's visuals are very hit or miss. The character sprites are all pretty nice looking aside from a lot of size differences. It's almost like everyone has the same model but just with a different coat of paint. This doesn't really stop them from looking good, but I would much rather have Frieza be shorter, Vegeta not be so damn thick, and Ginyu and Raccoon be much larger. Another problem with the characters is their dialogue photos. Master Roshi looks like your typical Alabama resident, and I don't even want to talk about Raditz. None of the speech bubble pictures look like what any sane person would consider good, aside from the members of the Ginyu Force. Yes, you can still tell exactly who everyone is, but it all just looks so drab and nauseating. Houses and such look pretty good with a fair amount of detail, but environments in general just look lazy and repetitive. You see this stairway and a hillside next to all these trees with a body of water or another hill nearby? That's the entire game, but in different colors of course. That's as much detail on level design as I can really give aside from the game being linear as fuck. The level design is uninspired and lazy, so me talking about it is uninspired and lazy. Parts of Namek do break the norm and add in a little more variety in landscape, meaning just more water. But also add in some bad things, like what the fuck is up with this pillar? Why does it look like some type of snack cake? Is that a shadow or part of the rock? They put an anus in the ground. The statues and the damn bubblegum chunks that only appear in the Namekian temple are the most detailed things in the entire game. This game has almost more bad than good about it. Its flaws stick out even if you aren't looking for them. If you were expecting this game to be more DBZ-like, I'm sorry. This game is just a shell of Dragon Ball and it shows. There's no life in this 3-hour slogfest, but that doesn't mean that the Legacy of Goku is a terrible game. Call me blinded by nostalgia, but for some reason after all these years, I still enjoy playing the game to completion. No, I absolutely cannot recommend this to just anyone. But if you're a lifelong fan of Dragon Ball like I am and you haven't played this, just give it a shot. And tell me I'm a fucking idiot if it sucks. Dragon Ball Z The Legacy of Goku is a good game, just not a good Fallout game. Whether or not you're new or old to the channel, I appreciate all of you for taking the time out of your life to watch this. If you could, please leave a like and a comment stating your own personal opinion on the game. Thanks again, and until next time.